Hola, buenos días.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches.
This is Barb.
And this is Estela.
And welcome to
Cafecito
and Crime. Hola, everybody. Welcome to this week's pod.
Were you going to say episode or pod? Or you're trying to decide?
This week's episode. I guess, I don't know. I'm trying to decide. Pod episode. Yeah, that's what it is. Pues es lo que
pod episode.
So I hope everyone is having a wonderful afternoon, weekday, everything, month.
All of the above?
All of the above.
Year?
We have a wasp in our garage right now. So we're just trying to make sure that we are keeping her away.
¿Pero ellos te pican?
Sí, pican.
Okay.
Sí. I think that, I don't know if that particular one, quién sabe si esa pica, pero sí.
There's different ones?
Sí, they have like the yellow jacket ones. Yellow jacket wasps. And then they have like...
I just thought they were all red.
No, they have different ones.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I'm sure that
just
they do.
Just like honeybees and then like...
regular bees.
Your
bumblebees.
Killer bees. You know, I guess...
The bees.
The bees.
All of the bees.
And then have you ever watched that lady of A Day of Saving the Bees? What's her name?
No, but you told me about her.
Oh my God, she's amazing.
Yeah.
Whoever doesn't
I know
watch
there is this show called Yellow Jackets that's supposed to be really good. I think it's on Prime or something.
Pero about bees?
No.
Oh.
It's like I don't know, some murder or some shit.
Oh, okay. I
think, no me acuerdo exactamente, don't quote me on that, but I know it has like raving reviews.
Raving
reviews.
So this week, do I have any Bárbara Tragedia problems this week? Not that I can think of.
Have you left anything behind?
No.
Have you dropped anything on yourself?
No, besides me paying extra shit that I don't need to pay.
Yep.
That was a very, very tragic moment.
Yep.
The kids are getting ready to go back to school.
Yep.
Yeah, so everything's
getting... You know what? I think we already know this, but speaking of like getting back to school and stuff, you know, before, like in the past couple of years, kind of always looked forward to the summer because when I do have to go into the office to work, my commute wasn't as heavy as far as traffic.
Traffic-y.
Right.
Yeah.
But this summer, I think this is the first time that I've noticed that it didn't fucking make a difference.
Yeah. There is no difference. The only thing I think that what makes a difference is son los like the speed zones donde haya como...
No, not even. It's just that there's traffic all year round now.
Bitch.
Because, so many people are moving to Texas. But I'm like, chingada madre.
If y'all hear steps, it's because I do have a cat. I talked about that last time.
It's not the cat.
And then the child runs around behind the cat.
You're like, girl, your room is not that big. Why? Leave her alone.
Leave her alone. Yeah. And my son thinks that he's, I don't know, like a juguete or something. So I don't know what's going on.
He's Michael Myers and shit. Like,
yeah. So anyways, welcome again for everybody. So today we are going to be talking about what, sister?
Okay. So today's case, we are going to be talking about Maribel Ramos, who... I actually heard about her case a couple of years ago, actually. There was a show on Netflix called, I think, Worst Roommate Ever, or something along those lines.
I think I remember you saying something about that.
Yes, and the newest season just came out, but I remember when the show first premiered on Netflix, this episode, I couldn't get it out of my mind, and I was thinking about it recently. So I was like, hey, let me just look into it again. And that's what I did. So that's how I ended up with this case for this week.
Where are we going?
Today we are going to Orange, California.
Orange County or Orange, California?
Orange, California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if you'd like to come to Naranja, California. With us, then grab your cafecitos.
And let's get started. Orange, California is actually located not very far from Santa Ana, California. It's only like about, I guess, 3 miles north of it. And
we were in California last week. Were we in California last week?
Last year?
No.
Oh, for your case.
For my case. It was in California.
Remind me of your case real quick. My mind is drawing a blank for whatever reason.
The case of the lady that...
Sherry Papini.
Yeah.
Crazy ass.
Yeah. So if y'all haven't listened to that, go ahead and...
Go listen to it.
But yeah, we were in California.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In Redding, right?
We were in Redding, California.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the fun, random, interesting fact about Orange, I mean, it's not a like ginormous city or anything like that by any means, but I think it has over like 140,000 people. But it's a very old historic town, and it is the only city to be planned and built around a plaza.
Okay.
So se hizo la plaza primero, and then the rest of the city was built around it, which earned the nickname Plaza City.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. So that's, a Plaza City.
Plaza City.
Plaza City. Yes. Now, for today's case, we're going to begin with Maribel Ramos, who was born on November 22nd of 1976 and grew up in the Santa Ana, Orange area in California. She was one out of 6 children to Marina Ramos. And I wasn't able to find any information about her father, but it doesn't really pertain to the story anyway. Now, growing up, she was described by family as the tomboy, I guess you could say. She was a tough cookie, just very competitive, very just doing stuff always.
Side note, why would they say tough cookie when cookies are better when they're soft?
I don't know where that saying comes from, to be honest.
I don't know either. But isn't
cookie,
that weird?
I don't want a tough cookie.
No, I want a soft cookie.
Yeah.
Well, personally, there's some people that like crunchy cookies.
Espérame, what is it when you eat an Oreo or a Chips Ahoy or whatever other type of cookie?
No, pero no están tan duras. Not tough cookie.
Well, no, I guess not.
That's just a weird way. Okay, go ahead.
That's a weird saying.
Yeah.
She had a very close-knit family, and they actually spent a lot of time together. So ella se juntaba bastante con sus cousins, con sus tías and sus tíos, and they would just, they were close and were in each other's lives. So as she grew up, she was very active and not a person to sit down and do nothing. She was very lively, always had to be doing something. Y siempre she was up for anything pretty much. She was fun and outgoing. And ever since she was a little girl, Maribel had dreamed of becoming a police officer.
Okay.
And she wanted to serve and
protect.
Serve and protect and help her community and help people. And she was able to do just that, not by becoming a police officer, but by joining the military.
Okay.
And she actually left for training just months before 9/11.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Now, she was in war or at war for 18 months. And she did 2 tours in Iraq, in Iraq and Korea, where she was sergeant, and her specialty was transportation and logistics. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they said that she probably did about 160 missions. And her career in the military lasted about 8 years. And then she was honorably discharged in 2008. So after her second tour, she came home. She didn't re-enlist. So, when she came home from the military, Maribel moved in with her boyfriend at the time, que se llamaba Chris Carlin, in Santa Ana.
How old was she at this time?
She was in her early 30s, maybe. Early 30s, yeah.
Okay.
And as often as it happens with veterans, they never return home unscathed, Yeah. Maribel suffered from PTSD, so loud noises bothered her.
Yeah.
She'd wake up in cold sweats. She'd cry a lot. And even at times being around people was too much for her. But despite how she was feeling, Maribel was able to push through and follow a dream of hers, which was pursuing higher education and a degree in criminal justice.
Oh, okay.
Now, for whatever reason, I don't know what was his deal, pero su novio Chris was not supportive.
Of her going to school?
Of anything, pretty much. It seemed
so,
that...
¿para qué lo quiere?
Exactly.
I'm just saying. Sorry.
It seemed that this was not the first time, and it was reported that he hadn't been supportive of her career in the military either.
He needs to go.
Like, bitch, she was a sergeant.
Like, you should be proud of your wife and what girlfriend, I'm sorry, or whatever she's accomplished.
And especially in the military, bitch.
¿Qué te pasa, estúpido?
¿Ponte a hacer algo importante?
Sí, a ver, ¿tú no eres sergeant, estúpido? Well, that's just my point of view. My POV.
So the fact that he wasn't supportive of her obviously caused a lot of problems in the relationship.
That's so bad.
And
like, you have to, like, fight for... what you love to do or what you're like. That's
and having a partner that
stupid.
doesn't support you, that's fucked up.
That's fucked up, pinche insípido. ¿Qué le pasa? Wow.
And like I just said, it caused a lot of problems and they fought a lot, which eventually led to them breaking up.
Well, I'm glad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But she needed somebody that was supportive.
Exactly. Now, 3 months after the breakup, she continued on and she ended up enrolling at Cal State Fullerton and began taking classes.
Well, good for her.
Yeah.
I'm glad that she didn't stop her dream.
No,
you
of
know,
course,
just
yeah.
un pendejo.
Yeah. And she was like a very good student.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay. You were, girl.
She then ended up getting an apartment with her mom, Marina. And sadly, Marina had been diagnosed with colon cancer.
Oh.
Yeah. And Maribel wanted to take care of her. So that's why they ended up moving in together. And Marina did end up passing away on November 2nd, 2009. At the age of 62.
Oh, she was so young.
Yeah. Estaba bien joven la señora. And
everybody go and get colon cancer checked.
You know, I saw an article that says that colon cancer has been very common or a lot of young people have been diagnosed with colon cancer under the age of 55.
Yes, well,
which is crazy.
I don't know if you remember the little boy that was like from the Inky Boys. His dad was not even 40.
Yeah.
And he died from colon cancer.
Yeah.
And the only reason that he said that the reason was because he kept having like issues, his intestines and all kinds of stuff. So he was like, he kept going to the doctor and they were like, let's do a colonoscopy. I think it was maybe early 40s or not even 40.
Pero
I'm
no
not
se
sure.
miraba
Pero
viejo.
estaba bien joven el muchacho and he died. So anybody that has any like, I'm not trying to be gross, but any, stool, blood, and all kinds of stuff, please go to the doctor and be like, hey, I might need a colonoscopy because, even if you have like colon cancer in your family, like
if it runs in
the family, that's so scary.
Yeah.
Because that's not a very pretty death.
Oh, I don't think cancer is any type of cancer for sure. Yeah. Now, at the time that her mom passed away, Maribel was going through a lot. I mean, she had been taking care of her mom. She was a caregiver. Now she had passed and all while going to school. And then suffering from PTSD.
And then suffering from a breakup.
Yeah. From a pinche pendejo.
From a pinche pendejo. He had to go anyway. But, that's not something that you want to go through.
And that's a heavy load to carry.
That's a heavy load, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now, in school, Maribel joined the Student Veterans Association.
Okay.
Where she spoke to veterans about PTSD and how to overcome it. It was something that she was very passionate about. She wanted to let them know that they weren't alone, and she shared her own experiences. As time passed, Maribel was becoming lonely, living alone.
Well, yeah. Missing her mom, probably. She was her full-time caregiver and all kinds of stuff. She had like, what is it called when they have like after people that you take care of pass or that they're gone. I think it's like survival. Yeah, something like that. So she probably went through a lot of that.
And by this point, it had been 3 years since her mom's passing. Why did I say it like that?
Passing?
And so Maribel asked her sister Lucero, who was known as Lucy, to move in with her. Pero Lucy, she had a daughter and she didn't want to uproot her. I mean, she was settled at school and in their neighborhood. So she told Maribel que no. Dijo que no. But le dijo, hey, look for a roommate. Y si no encuentras uno, I'll move in with you then. So that was the deal. So Maribel set out to look for a roommate on Craigslist.
Not Craigslist. A girl.
She posted her ad where she stated that she was looking for a roommate.
Why Craigslist? Just think about the name of this. It's Craigslist. Like who? Like that right there should be a fucking red flag. Anybody that it goes on Craigslist, like that's creepy. That's crazy to me. Craigslist is crazy.
Yeah. Like I said, she posted her ad and, she stated that obviously what she was looking for, a roommate and how much the rent would be. She noted about herself that she was pretty low key, was attending school for criminal justice, and occasionally liked to go out on the weekends. Mm-hmm. It wasn't long before she received a message from a man named as Kwang Choi or KC Joy. That was his last name.
Joy, Joy.
Yeah.
Okay.
from Inside Out. He stated that he was quiet, easygoing, and liked to keep things tidy. He said that he was like a clean freak. He didn't smoke and only drank socially. And he had a small dog, a Yorkie, which worked out fine because Maribel herself had a tiny dog. And she had also posted on her ad that, it was fine if they had a dog because she herself had a dog. It was a Chihuahua mix named Mia.
Mm-hmm.
So Casey seemed, after obviously they exchanged messages back and forth, he seemed like a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
He was from Knoxville, Tennessee, and was actually applying for a job in Huntington Beach. And he asked Maribel if he could see the apartment and meet her while he was in town for the interview, which he did. But Maribel wasn't by herself when she met Casey. Su hermana Lucy was there with her.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like a nice older man. He was like in his early 50s. And he went on to tell Lucy that he wasn't married or had any family of his own. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he was going to be bringing people back to the apartment, and that would disturb Maribel, because she was in school. It's not like he was going to be throwing parties or disturbing her studies or anything of that sort.
Let's take a quick break.
Persons of Interest is back, and it's bigger than ever.
That scream will echo in my head for many years.
Taser! 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 He's gonna shoot!
Oi! Shot fired! Shots fired! Shots fired!
Stay out! You got a gun on you!
He had the perfect aim.
I am absolutely stressed at that point. I have no idea where my officers are.
Persons of Interest available everywhere you get your podcasts.
And so
anybody does not have family and that is an older man, I would be scared of.
Yeah.
Not that I'm sorry if you are an older man and don't have
any family.
But I'm sorry, but that's just red flag to me. I don't know why. I would be scared. I would be like, girl, let's keep looking.
And it's true, obviously, I'm sure Maribel could take care of herself.
Yeah, of course.
Pero wouldn't you be more inclined, I guess, more in today's times to look for another girl, like a girl roommate? Not that a girl can, tampoco no te puede. Obviously, that shit happens with women too. They go crazy and, and become jealous or whatever. Pero
not that. It's just that I feel like she was trying to just, I don't know. Is that the only person that hit her up or something?
I'm not sure, to be honest, but I guess she was like, here's this Asian man. He's older, I guess, the vibes weren't off. I guess is what I'm trying to say,
I mean, I would be like, let me see if I could take him,
Maybe she checked his credit and she's like, oh, he has good credit. Like, girl, let's go.
Okay.
That's just me making shit up.
I was about to say, maybe, I don't know, because she would check my credit, we'd be in trouble.
And like I said, Casey seemed like a good fit. So he ended up moving in with Maribel and things were going well. And true to his word, he didn't have any people over and he didn't really go out much before his job. So Maribel was able to focus on finishing school and actually was just months away from graduating. Now, to Maribel and Lucy, Casey seemed lonely. El pobre no salía and was just home all the time, and they ended up feeling bad for him.
Okay.
So Maribel took it upon herself to invite him to have, I think it was a meal. I'm not sure if it was like a lunch or dinner with her family. It was like a get-together. Like I mentioned earlier, she was really close with her family and they had like regular get-togethers. Se juntaban todos. And he actually ended up getting along with her family. Like it was kind of like, I guess, I don't want to say, or I guess I am saying that he came out of his shell. And he, was making jokes and they were laughing it up and it was good vibes.
Good vibes.
Good vibes. And eventually, Maribel and Casey started to become friends. Because sometimes you have a roommate, más te ves, hi, bye, and you guys are in different schedules and you just, it's like,
yeah. I personally, because I talk to everybody and the wall, if I have to, I personally could not live with someone and not be at least friend. Nice or
try to be a friend.
Try to be your friend.
Yeah, or try to make a conversation.
Yeah. So personally, I could understand why she felt bad for him and she was like, okay, well, let me see if he wants to chill,
And she did, and everything turned out fine, Now they started hanging out and, they'd take out their their doggies out for walks. They both had small dogs. And, you know, see, if one of them went to the store and the other one needed something, they'd be like, hey, do you need something? I'm at the store. Se hacían favores, pues, is what I'm trying to say. And Maribel continued to invite him to family gatherings, you know?
Yeah.
Así puro pinche party, así con Casey.
They had no family.
They had no family.
And
of
he's
his own.
in his 50s.
Yeah. Hey, it happens, I'm sure.
I'm
Not
sure.
everybody is a Casey, just saying.
And not everybody is on Craigslist.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the summer of 2012, well into Casey becoming closer with Maribel and her family, Lucy later, she recalls that she received a call from Casey un día, así like out of nowhere. I mean, they would communicate back and forth, right? And stuff like that. But
And they had each other's number and stuff. Okay.
Yes. During this call, he told Lucy that he knew that her sister Maribel wanted to get married and have kids, and that he wanted to be the man that she was looking for.
What the fuck?
He also stated that he was in love with her and that he also loved her family, and, you know, everything seemed to fit because they got along so well.
Are you kidding me?
So Lucy, she was like in shock, right? She was like taken aback.
Yeah.
And for her, this had come out of nowhere. And when she kind of like snapped back into it, she let Casey, I guess, down easy, I guess you could say. She went on to point out why he and Maribel were not a good match.
Yeah.
Such as him being much older. He was almost 20 years older than her
And
at this
like,
point.
he's over here talking about she needs to have kids. Like, bruh.
And, you know, she did. I mean, Maribel was young. She wanted to have kids. And Lucy did tell him, it's like, I'm sure you want all those things and you deserve all those things, but it wasn't going to be with my sister. It wasn't going to be with Maribel. Lucy knew her sister. I mean, they were very close.
Yeah.
And she knew that ella no tenía those type of feelings towards Casey, that they were just friends. And she let him know that. Now, Casey como que obviously, like, what do you say to that, right? When somebody tells you, oh, this person does not like you, no te ve like you want them to see you.
What do you mean, what do you say? You say, okay, I'm leaving.
No, he stayed quiet. He didn't say much on the phone con Lucy when Lucy was telling him of these things. And they just hung up, you know? So Lucy le habló a su hermana. She called Maribel and told her about the conversation that she had with Casey and told her to figure it out. Y le dijo, hey, if, you know, talk to him, and if he pushes the relationship or whatever, you know, something along those lines, he needs to get out of the apartment. It would be best if que ya no viviera contigo.
Yeah.
También Lucy later goes on to state que she felt very uneasy about that conversation.
She didn't like it. Como que algo was off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I just, we mentioned earlier, like even though she knew Maribel could handle herself, she would rather Casey not be around if he couldn't move past his feelings for her, you know?
Yeah.
So Maribel, she was like, okay, cool, I got this. Habló con Casey and they sorted things out.
Okay.
In the conversation, he told her that it was just a small crush and that it wasn't more than that, le dijo. So Maribel definitely felt lighter after clearing the air with Casey. Y le habló a Lucy y le dijo, hey, we
talked it out.
We talked it out.
Yeah.
Things were squashed or squared away.
I don't think that I would let him stay even if it's a small crush.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Personally, I would have been like, bruh. Like, even if that's, you never know. What if I'm still nice to him and it grows into a bigger
Something
crush?
else,
Like algo así.
like
Como,
you're just being nice. You were trying to be nice and invite him places because he was lonely. You were being nice and he I don't know if maybe he
misunderstood or
took it
or
took it as, hey, I have feelings for you too or something. You know, people misconstrue things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, Maribel thought that, you know, things with Casey had been, you know, squashed, or so she thought.
Mm-hmm.
In his mind, Casey thought that he could become the man he thought that she wanted.
Of her dreams, basically.
Exactamente. So he began to change over the next months.
Pero lo que pasa es que she never said that she wanted to Like, that wasn't
I'm not really sure what the conversation was that they had, but maybe I don't know, si ella le dijo,
or
hey,
maybe she mentioned something.
I just don't see you that way.
Yeah.
We're just friends.
What I'm saying is maybe at one point they were talking, ella le dijo, oh, I can't wait to have kids or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure maybe. Yeah,
maybe, or él le preguntó algo, you know, and that's why he started changing into the person that he thought that she wanted
him to be.
Bro, like, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. So he began to change, like I just said, over the next couple of months or the next months. He spent over $10,000 on cosmetic surgeries and procedures.
¿Qué?
To look younger.
Are you fucking kidding me?
And I think I read an article somewhere como que, you know, obviously he's Asian, se abrió look like his to make his eyes look wider or más grandes. He changed the way that he dressed and started going out more. He also got this giant ass tattoo because Maribel, you were just saying, she mentioned it once or made a comment that she thought that he would look good with a tattoo. So he went out and got this like giant ass Bengal tiger on his arm.
What the fuck?
It's crazy.
First of all, how much tattoos are?
Second if he was spending thousands of dollars
on cosmetic surgery
and procedures,
wow,
to look younger,
I'm in shock.
And
the cicadas are starting already.
So after taking all these steps that he thought was going to make Maribel like him, she still didn't.
Well, because that's not okay. I mean, I don't know, but maybe that's because that didn't change the person. It just changed what you looked like,
right?
You know.
So she obviously still just saw him as a friend. And
at this point, she should have already told him to leave,
and
bro.
she just rebuffed any of like his advances or anything of that sort.
Yeah, she should have just been like, you know what? I'm sorry. This is not going to work out. You're going to have to leave my casa.
Adios. Now, after doing all those things, Casey didn't like that, you know, esta todavía no le ponía atención, Maribel, and he became upset with her.
Bitch, who the fuck told you to do all that shit?
Nobody.
Nadie.
Nobody.
Tú solito.
So he became so upset with her que le paró de pagar la renta del apartamento.
No, señor, no. Pues, ¿cómo chingados iba a tener dinero if he was fucking paying for $10,000 procedures? No iba a tener dinero para la renta.
Now, one thing is that Maribel did not play about her money.
No.
She was like, where's my money?
As she should.
Yeah. And she confronted Casey about it and asked him what was going on, right? Mm-hmm. And they got into this huge argument, and Maribel ended up kicking him out and told him that he needed to be out of the apartment by the end of the month, which was in April of 2013.
Si no te voy a aventar tus cosas para afuera.
Yeah. And out the window.
Out the window.
Oh, out the front door.
Yeah.
This brings us to May 3rd. Okay, so this was when they had that huge fight, was towards the end of towards the end of April. So now where I'm starting now is we're on May 3rd. On May 3rd? Mm-hmm. Which was a Friday.
Okay.
So Lucy got a message from KC telling her that Maribel hadn't come home the night before.
Okay.
And according to KC, he got worried, so he called the police and tried to report her missing. But because she hadn't been missing for 24 hours, there was nothing much that they could do.
Pero ¿qué le importa?
So, es lo que pensó Lucy también.
O sea, ¿qué le importa? She could have stayed whoever she wanted.
She's a grown-ass woman.
She's a grown-ass woman. You need to keep your little fucking nose out of fucking people's
her business. Right. Y Lucy pensó lo mismo, kind of in a way. She thought that Casey was just trying to figure out where she was. Mm-hmm. Or where she had been. And was trying to get Lucy to tell him, ¿verdad? So, she told them the same thing. It's not your business. Mm-hmm. And don't worry about it. Así quedó.
Worry about your mama.
Worry about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, porque no tiene familia, pues.
Oh.
So after, she got this message from KC, so esta Lucy después le mandó mensaje a Maribel, pero she didn't receive a reply. And she didn't panic or anything like that. She didn't think that anything was wrong or anything of that sort. She just thought that Maribel was busy because she was literally about to graduate. So she just obviously had a lot on her plate.
Yeah, and she was probably studying or whatever. Right. Yeah.
The day went by. And Maribel did not show up to a softball game that she was scheduled to attend. So her and one of her cousins, Frank, they had been playing on this on this softball team for years. And her not showing up was very unlike her, especially since she had texted Frank the day before on May 2nd, a Thursday, and told him that she would see him at that game on Friday. Now, it was Frank's wife, que le habló a Lucy, who was at dinner, to let her know that Maribel hadn't made it to the softball game and that they had reached out to her, but nobody had been able to get a hold of her. So that they were on her way to her house and they had called the police. And they, so Lucy ended up making her way over there, to Maribel's apartment. When they arrived, they noticed that her car was still in the garage. And when they went to go knock on the door, there was no answer.
Where was QC?
Casey?
Oh, fuck. Where was KC?
Hold on, we'll get there. That was like cute.
I don't know what the fuck.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Like I just said, they went to knock on her door and there was no answer, even though that they could see that her light of her room estaba prendida. Like they could see it from the outside, like the glow. También llegó la policía, like I said, and they were also unsuccessful in getting someone to answer the door, and that forced them to force themselves into the apartment.
Yeah, because at this point, they're like, her car is here, her lights are on, and she's not answering.
And también,
maybe she's hurt.
And she never went anywhere without her doggy Mia. And Mia was in the apartment también.
Oh, okay. So when she knocked, ya que está
estaba el perrito,
okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, cuando entraron al apartamento, she was nowhere to be found, and her bedroom was a mess. Her bed wasn't made, which was so odd because Maribel had always made her bed and kept her space tidy.
She was in the military, dude. Like, that's exactly the first thing that they fucking do.
You just took my next sentence exactly. I mean, she was in the military, so she was regimented.
Yeah.
And about keeping her space tidy, clean. Like you said, it's the first thing that they do.
Yeah.
It's you make your bed. Maybe I should go to the army so I can make my bed when I get up in the morning.
Shit, my bed hasn't been made in like 3 weeks, so hey, it is what it is.
Like I said, Maribel wasn't. Oh, not like I said. Now, Maribel wasn't the only one that wasn't home.
QC wasn't home.
Yes. Casey, aka QC, was also not home.
Ay, verga, se llama Casey. ¿Cómo se llama? Casey?
KC.
Oh, yo le dije QC. Ay, no. Okay.
Yeah. Now, le hablaron a Casey y no contestó. They weren't able to get a hold of him either.
Okay.
But he did show up eventually, like an hour later. And
which is weird because he's the one that was so concerned about her not coming home. So then you left?
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Didn't you want to wait to see if she came home, right? Now, obviously, no encontraban a Maribel. And Casey, I was about to call him QC. Since he was most likely the last person to see her, they wanted to ask him some questions, right?
Sure.
And they would talk to him multiple times in the coming weeks about the last time that he saw her. He told investigators that he didn't know where she went or what happened to her. But the one thing that he knew was that she hadn't gone to the softball game because the bat and the rest of her gear was still at home.
Okay.
And while it was tough to get clear answers from KC, since he spoke mostly like broken English and had an accent, when he was being asked the questions, he generally seemed confused, como que no captaba bien lo que le estaban preguntando.
Se estaba haciendo pendejo. Because I would have gotten his little ass a fucking translator quick. Google Translate.
And he did, but like for sí entendió, and he was able to communicate that he, did not have anything to do with her disappearance, and stated that he would also like to know where she was. Así, porque andaba de chismoso, He managed to tell investigators that he last saw her at around 9 p.m. on May 2nd, so the previous night, at around 9 p.m. And he went out for a drive for about an hour. Se salió del apartamento, didn't come back until 10, y cuando él regresó, ya no estaba ella.
Okay.
And when he asked he just told investigators that he had taken a drive. So when they asked him, okay, where was this drive at? He said that it was down Tustin Avenue, which was close by. But investigators weren't so sure that they believed what he was saying, right?
I don't believe it, and I'm not an investigator.
Now, you see, Casey had scratches on his arms and hands.
Oh, okay.
And they looked fresh. When he was asked how he had gotten these scratches.
Girl, you sounded so country, them scratches.
He explained them away as scratches that he got from... And I got a little bit confused when, he was talking about it on the because it was recorded when he was
On the
being
interview?
in the interview, because he said something about pulling fishing lines from some bushes at Eisenhower Park.
Why?
I don't know. So he said something about fishing lines and some bushes at the park, right? And even investigators were a little bit confused, but he said this, and when they went to Eisenhower Park, sure enough, those bushes that he was talking about had thorns. So it wasn't out of the realm of possibility that he was telling them the truth. It was possibility. It wasn't like it was complete BS,
No. I understand that, but why were you fishing at the park and then you were fishing for?
That's what I got a little bit
thorns?
confused. I just don't know. See, maybe he was walking y se le atoró su fishing lines on the bush. I don't know. That's the part that I got a little.
He was fishing.
Something's with some fishing lines and some bushes at Eisenhower Park. Just keep that in mind. And I mean, other things that he was telling investigators sounded like complete bullshit to them, but they couldn't prove anything. So it was just like, we're watching you, you may go, So not long after Maribel's disappearance, her family created a Facebook page, or Lucy did, to hopefully receive help from the public in finding Maribel. Her disappearance became a huge case and was all over the media since there was hardly any serious crime like this in the area. Her family and friends also hit the ground running. They posted up missing posters and also handing them out as well.
Especially because they were all so close,
Exactly, yeah. They made T-shirts and organized walks through the neighborhood in hopes of finding any clues. And investigators also interviewed everyone in her life. Her family, her friends, her co-workers, even her exes. Everyone was cleared after alibis were corroborated. But there was one person whose alibi couldn't be corroborated, right? And that was Casey's. And investigators weren't the only ones who thought that he was exhibiting weird behavior, but Maribel's family thought so as well. Now, so there was this candlelight vigil that was held on May 13th, to which Casey attended, but wasn't really he was there, but he wasn't there, or a part of it, I guess. He was standing all the way in the back, kind of away from the people, more on the outside, just looking in. But he was still giving interviews to news reporters, telling them that he missed Maribel and he wanted to find her, that she was his best friend. And it was no different here at the candlelight vigil. He said that he was just kind of in the back because he was very sad and didn't want to be near family at the moment, or a lot of people. Another instance of strange behavior that raised a lot of eyebrows was a post that he made on Facebook where he referred to Maribel in the past tense. He wrote on Facebook, quote, "I am Maribel's roommate. She is my BFF and only family. She is absolutely..."
Not the BFF. Fucking idiot.
"She is absolutely the best woman I ever met. We had so much fun together. I miss her so much. She always knew that I will give my life for her without any hesitation." And people in the comments ate him up.
Yeah.
They called him out on it.
I'd
because that's just not something that you know?
Yeah.
Especially because she's just missing. Nobody has said that anything has happened to her. She just probably went somewhere and we just haven't been able to find her.
Yeah.
But that's it,
Yeah.
It was a missing case at this point. As investigators continued their search for Maribel and what could have possibly happened to her, they learned that about 2 weeks before she disappeared, on April 21st, she called the police because of a conversation that she had with Casey.
Okay.
In the call, you can actually hear the call. You can hear her tell the dispatcher that she had a roommate who was due to leave at the end of the month. And she wasn't feeling comfortable around him anymore after a conversation they had that freaked her out and where she felt threatened. He sounded like he was going to hurt her, and she was afraid. And she began to cry and explain that.
Pobrecita.
I can imagine, not feeling safe in your own home.
Yeah,
that has to be the worst feeling on the planet.
I know.
Like I just said, she began to cry and explain that she was calling them to let them know that if something happened, it was because she was trying to defend herself.
They need to, sometimes the cops, they need to listen to these legit, people that are saying, hey, if something happens, there's a reason why I'm calling you. That is so crazy to me.
She went on to say that from now until then, like until he was supposed to leave, which was at the end of the month, she felt like she needed to lock her bedroom door. And it was something that she was going to do.
Poor thing, man.
After the call, an officer was dispatched to the apartment where Maribel stated that she didn't want to make a report because, you know, they ask you.
They ask you, yeah, yeah.
She just wanted him to go and wanted it to be documented that, you know, she had made that call, you know, what I just stated.
She did the right thing, yeah.
So the officer asked Maribel, hey, are you going to be all right? And she said, you know, I'll be okay, you know, and I'll be better as soon as he leaves at the end of the month. By the time Maribel had disappeared, it was May. And KC was still in the apartment, right?
Yeah, because he was supposed to leave.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Maribel was last seen on May 2nd at around 7:15 p.m. while dropping off her rent check at the apartment's drop box. So ahí como en la mera oficina at the front desk. And you can see her on the surveillance camera. They learned from speaking to a friend of Maribel's named Paul that after 7:15 on that day, Maribel texted him during an argument that she was having with KC.
Mm-hmm. Probably telling him, when the fuck are you going to get out of my house?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. So, like I just said, she dropped off the check. She went back to her apartment and she got into a huge argument with KC since he was supposed to be out of there by then. When she confronted him about it, he kept on making excuses, saying that he just needed a little bit more of time and that he was looking for another job, yada, 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 you know, toda la enchilada and all that shit. She wasn't buying it and told him that she needed to be out by tomorrow.
Yeah, like there's no exceptions. You need to leave. Yeah.
Y Casey a eso no le gustó.
Pues no, pues ¿cómo?
No le gustó. He got angry and started cussing her out. Y Maribel se espantó. Like, she was scared. And so she took it upon herself to text one of her friends. Se llamaba Paul, su amigo. And she mentioned to him, I was like, hey, le dijo lo que estaba pasando, que se estaba peleando con su roommate. So Paul le habló inmediatamente. And cuando le habló, he could hear Casey talking shit in the background. So Maribel put Paul on speaker. Y Paul le dijo Casey that if he wasn't gone by the next day, he personally was going to come to the apartment and remove his shit from the apartment.
Okay. Basically saying, get your shit and go.
Yeah. Now, that was the last time Maribel made a phone call. In the wake of learning that information, investigators talked to Casey again and asked him follow-up questions regarding the fight that he had on May 2nd con Maribel. And he played the argument down to investigators and told them that it wasn't that bad of an argument.
Oh, okay.
It was just a scuffle.
It was a scuffle, but y'all were hollering at each other and she was scared.
And Paul was on the other line.
Yeah, and there's like a witness, basically, yeah.
He said after Maribel had finished talking to Paul, according to KC, se metió a su cuarto y cerró la puerta. And that's when, you know, I mentioned earlier que dijo que se salió como a las 9. He went out for an hour, came back like around 10. Y cuando llegó es que dijo que Maribel ya no estaba. Mm-hmm. Again, investigators weren't buying it and thought, it was all bullshit. But they didn't have anything to hold him. So he had to go. You know, they had to let him go. And obviously he was a suspect, a primary suspect. So they started to look into his background. And they learned what we already knew, like I just mentioned earlier. He was from Knoxville, Tennessee, and he left the state because things had gone to shit for him there. So right before he moved to California, he had lost his job. His parents had passed away, so he really did have no family. Well, he did have a sister. So investigators contacted the sister, and they reached out to her in hopes to learn more about KC. And she informed them that they didn't speak and had become estranged after they had gotten in an argument about the inheritance from their parents.
Okay.
So ella dijo that Casey had a bad temper and that during the argument, he threatened to kill her.
Oh, shit.
So she got a restraining order against him because she feared him. And she also went on to call him a monster.
Wow.
I can't imagine ever like not getting along with the sibling or getting to that point with the sibling. I mean, uno nunca sabe, right? But it's obviously I'm not in that position, and it happens all the time. So it's just it happens.
I mean, especially for money, bro.
Yeah,
like I think that
the root of all evil.
But not only that, but like like you said, a lot of people are evil. A lot of people do things, and maybe that's not the situation. But like you said, there's a lot of siblings that like have rivalry and So I'm not surprised about that. And if he was just worried about the money, like he was like, oh no, I'm gonna kill you if I don't get what I want, right?
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
I mean, and we cover cases like that. I mean, kids kill their parents for the inheritance all the time. So after learning about Casey's background, investigators decided to put him under surveillance, motherfucking 24/7.
Hell yeah. Making sure he doesn't leave.
Yeah. And they knew he had something to do with Maribel's disappearance. Like they knew it. And they just needed to find something that could tie him to her disappearance. So they followed him into the local library one day where you know how you can check out books? Well, now you can check out like laptops y las puedes ir a usar somewhere in the library. And they had already been able to obtain a search warrant to monitor what he was doing on the computer remotely. So you can see it on surveillance. Va y se sienta, he grabs a laptop, y va y se sienta like on a chair, like a sofa chair kind of. And he pops open the laptop and he looked up, I want to like strange things in a search engine, such as does the cell phone has to be turned on to track its location?
Okay.
What is the probability of finding a missing person? And how long does it take the human body to decay?
Wow.
It is obviously suspicious given the circumstances, what we know, right?
Yeah.
But this wasn't
Do people not understand that everything is fucking... like, that's crazy to me. That people don't understand that no matter where, you could be inside your house taking a shit. And if you bust out your laptop while you're taking a shit... Or your cell phone. And you Google shit like this. Do you know how hard it is to be able to like do an investigation, or like, for example, us, that we have to research all this bullshit, and then you're like, fuck, if I put that on my fucking Google, like, bitch.
Yeah, well, that's my next line. So like I just said, obviously it's suspicious given what we know about him, right? But it wasn't a smoking gun by any stretch, because I've searched this type of shit. You've searched this type of shit.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of people that do this, that search this type of shit.
In the middle of the night when I'm like, I wonder how long does it take for a body to decay?
When
like,
you're working on a case, you're like, wait, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So this didn't actually prove anything.
No.
Like, it's not like you could build a case around this.
No.
So he also typed in Maribel's name in another search engine and pulled up articles on her disappearance. So it's like he was keeping up with the investigation.
Kind of weird.
No ways, but and then he was leaving comments. I mean, be like, I miss her. She was my friend. That type of shit, you know?
Okay.
He then got on Facebook, you know, because you have to get on the face, where he saw that there was going to be an awareness walk for Maribel, which had been arranged by her sister Lucy. And it was going to begin at 2 p.m. from beginning point, Maribel's apartment, and down Tustin Avenue to Peters Canyon. Now, Peters Canyon was a place that Maribel, I'm assuming, liked to frequent because she had taken her sister Lucy and her niece Giselle, who she was really close to Peters Canyon.
Maybe like to exercise or hike or something.
Yeah. So he saw this, he exited Facebook and then typed the address for Peters Canyon on Google Map, and he zoomed out and then switched to satellite and then zoomed in super close to a remote tree or a remote area, and just like a random canyon, which was on East Santiago Canyon Road, which was about 7.5 miles from where the awareness was going to take place. Then he, like I said, he just zoomed into this like large ass tree on this street, on this random ass canyon. And after he did that, he exited it out of the page and he cleared his history.
Oh, were you looking for something there?
Investigators were looking into his shit remotely. They were seeing everything that he was seeing, right?
Not only that, but dude, you're on the Wi-Fi from the library. Like, bitch.
Anybody can hack your ass.
What the fuck? That's so crazy to me.
Investigators had a feeling that they had gotten the biggest break in the case.
Yeah, they need to go over there and see what's at that tree.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they rushed to the area that he had zoomed in on the map. And it was so remote that the only way to differentiate was from the rest of the desolate area was, like I just said, this single ass, large ass bush that kind of looked like a tree. obviously, investigators heard it that way ASAP, and they began to excavate the area. And within 45 minutes, a body was found in a shallow grave. The body was identified that day as that of 36-year-old Maribel Ramos.
She was so young,
She was so young via her dental records.
Wow.
Because
she was already decayed?
Yeah.
¿Ya cuánto había pasado?
So this was, I think, a couple of weeks, because she disappeared on the 2nd. And when they found her, I believe it was late evening on May 16th.
So a couple of weeks. Okay.
Yeah. And it also said that her body had decay and animals had gotten to it.
Oh, okay.
So they said that, her feet were gone or stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
y luego también estaba caliente, yo creo.
Caliente.
I don't know how the weather is there.
Yeah.
But...
sadly, the autopsy was conducted the same day, but like I just stated, I didn't state, but her cause of death was never determined due to the body's state of decomposition. And body parts were missing.
I personally, my 2 cents thinks that she probably was choked.
You're right. Or
Really?
that's a theory.
I think.
Yeah.
Because a person that is psycho like that, they're gonna, yeah.
Now, when the body was found, it was all over the news. Like I mentioned.
Shit. Yeah.
And sadly, that's how Lucy found out.
Oh.
Through the news. So since KC had kept a close eye on the investigation, he knew that it was just like a matter of time before they showed up at his door. Investigators did.
Because he didn't flee.
So investigators showed up at his door.
Oh, okay.
And this moron tried to escape out the window. No, he didn't try to escape. He went out the window and ran.
Oh, God.
And ran, but he was very quickly apprehended. While he was being interviewed, he stated that he was curious as to what evidence they had been found against him for the murder.
Out, besides the fact that a whole ass body was found where you were looking.
And he was like, what do you have against me? Because I didn't do anything. And he seemed to be perplexed about the possible accusation that he had something to do with Maribel's disappearance and or murder. He went on to say that he couldn't believe that she was dead and began to cry, agarró un Kleenex y toda la cosa. But besides that, he didn't answer any questions, anything.
He asked for a lawyer.
So he was arrested and charged with Maribel's murder on May 17th, 2013, and his trial began on July 8th of 2014. Now, the prosecution presented its case as that of unrequited love. He was in love with her, and if he couldn't have her, si no le iba a hacer caso, nobody else was going to have her either. And to add to that, he was also upset that she was kicking him out and was going to have nowhere to live. So he planned to kill her because he was so upset. While there was no physical evidence linking him to Maribel's murder, because there was nothing. Circumstantial evidence, yes, but there was no physical evidence. The big, I guess, chunk or what kind of sealed the case against Casey was his Google search. The fact that he knew where her body laid.
Like, you could probably get away with a lot of the things like you said that he searched.
On the
but
search
when
engine?
you search the actual
Specific address.
and especially you said it was so remote that you had to knew where you were at. And then
he switched to satellite.
Yeah, and then
sorry.
Oh, shit. And then when he switched to satellite to I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you knew where she was at because everybody had been looking for her.
Yeah, of course.
Y según tú también.
Yeah. And también quiere saber el güey. Now, it did hurt the prosecution's case that they were never able to determine her cause of death,
Yeah, I mean, but elements of
elements.
Elements, yeah.
And the defense kind of used that to their advantage to, for their case. The defense case was that what they kind of presented and suggested was that she might have been suicidal. Knowing that she struggled with PTSD and
that's
sometimes I know
that's fucked up. You don't play with people's emotions like that. That's fucked up. She's dead. She can't defend herself.
And that sometimes she suffered from paranoia.
Oh, so messed
They
up.
also suggested that she had an alcohol problem and was drinking heavily the night of May the 2nd. And she became a danger to herself. That Casey didn't kill her and was only put in a situation where he had to dispose of her body. Which is why he knew you know, why he had to zoom in and on the Google and do satellite and all that shit.
Oh my God.
Now, on July 23rd, the jury acquitted Casey of first-degree murder, but was convicted of second-degree murder.
Danger.
He didn't plan it. It just happened, right?
Yeah.
So he was sentenced to 15 years to life in prison. And he has filed for appeals.
No, motherfucker.
But they have been denied. And he actually maintains his innocence to this day. Now, it is believed, or the theory is, that Casey killed her while she was sleeping. He smothered her and then disposed of her body. Because if he would have gone against her or attacked her head on, she would have kicked his ass.
She would have kicked his ass.
She would have kicked his ass.
She would have whooped him.
Or killed him, you know,
and not only
in self-defense.
That, but the fact that her bed wasn't made, that right there is big. Because once again, we go back to the same thing. If you're in the military,
or si estabas dormida,
te levantas, you make your bed.
Yeah. So like, that is the theory, that he got to her when she was asleep.
What a fucking coward.
Yeah.
You should have fought her. A ver.
Ten huevos.
Ten huevos, exactly.
Yeah, if you're going to do something like that.
Oh, wow.
So that is the case of the murder of Maribel Ramos.
And unnecessary, once again.
Oh, and then I forgot to tell you, you know how, and you were right, when they learned that he had actually, when they were looking into his background, that they found that he had a sister and that his parents had passed away, they learned that he had moved to the U.S. as a child. So cuando they were talking to him and he was speaking broken English, estaba haciendo el pendejo, because this motherfucker spoke perfectly good English.
He's a fucking stupid ass. That's what he is. And they should have brought his sister to testify against his
I don't know
ass.
if they did, to be honest.
I would have.
They probably did, so I'm not sure. But
because, I mean, they should have been like, okay, ask us to see what he's capable of. I mean, you have to know where these people come from también, you know?
I'm sure they did their due diligence.
I'm pretty sure that the Orange Police Department did.
It's so infuriating that you can't get rejected as a woman because luego te quieren matar. Like, they can't handle rejection.
Bro, are you kidding me? That's crazy. Like, what if they don't, can you just...
You can say, no, it's okay.
They don't want, like, please understand that we all have a say in our own body, in our own personal space. Like, why do people, like, think that it's okay for you to invade people's personal...
Or take their life away.
Take their life. Like, what gave him the right for that?
He had none.
He had no right. Not only the fucking right, the fact that she fought for our country and came home and did not... like lose her life, thank God, over there, to come home to lose a life to some fucking coward that killed you while you were sleeping.
Yeah, like he didn't even face you head on.
Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I'm sorry I hope he never gets out of jail.
Yeah,
he's a fucking piece of maggot.
Yeah,
that's what he is.
It's crazy.
It's just
and like people are allowed to tell you no. Like, superalo, move on with your life.
It's okay. You can move on and you can find someone else. And you know what? The biggest thing and lesson to learn is that there's a lot of fish in the sea. Somebody will be out there.
There's like 8 billion people on this planet, bitch.
Somebody will be out there.
You're gonna find somebody.
Yeah.
You know, get on 90 Day Fiancé or some shit, you know, which is what I've been watching a lot recently, to be honest.
I know.
But yeah.
But the thing is, it's just sad for the fact that
they lost, like, her family lost Maribel, who they just looked up to so much. She was such an inspiration to them.
She was.
For this fucker to just, like you just said, just kill her because he was pissed off that ella no le regresaba sus, you know, his feelings.
And not only that, but like, they lost their mom too.
Yeah.
You know, they lost their mom, and then now they lost their sibling, their cousin, whatever it is.
Family member, loved one.
No reason. Just because a macho motherfucker could not understand. No.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to be with you. No. Okay. I mean, would I have done things differently? Yes. But I think Maribel had a big heart.
Yeah.
And that's probably why she let him get away with a lot. She kind of felt bad for him a lo mejor.
Yeah. Yeah. She was a compassionate person.
But... that's not okay. Like, in that case, then he should have been like, okay.
Porque lo dejó pasar 2 días, because he was supposed to be out by April 30th.
Yeah.
Y it was the 2nd, he was still there.
Not only that, but the fact that Paul was a witness to all the shit that he was talking, like, bitch. Mm-hmm. Nobody told you to go get that tattoo. Pinche pendejo, like, who the fuck do you think you are? And then she had been in a bad relation. Like, I don't know. This is sad. I'm sorry. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Okay.
This makes me really sad.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much for listening to our case. Let us know what you think. And if you would like to follow us or send us a message, you can at
Cafecito and Crime Pod. And if you would like to download our episodes, share our podcast, leave us a review, and rate us, we would greatly appreciate it.
Muchas gracias,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Have a wonderful night, and we'll talk to you, or day, and we'll talk to you en la siguiente. Bye.